Hi FlossTube, how's everybody doing today? I'm Sarah and I'm here with, I think this is my FlossTube number 30, yay! So I actually have, it's only been a week since I shot my last FlossTube. Today is October 8th, 2020, and I actually, even though it's only been a week, I have quite a bit to share. I splurged a little bit on myself this week and a little bit on my husband too. And I've done some stitching. I have two finishes. Both were pretty close. Well, no, wait. One of them was a new start and a finish, but it's small. The other one was pretty close. So I showed this last week, I believe. This is Twin Primitives. This was a freebie that they gave out last year. And it is not. There it goes. I think that focused. There we go. I just did the Thanksgiving and then the two turkeys and the pumpkin. It's kind of a quasi finish because I think, and you can kind of tell here too, that brown does not show up well on the brown. And it's, I think, a little worse on the fabric that I chose. So I will show you what I have. So, oh goodness. Every time. We'll just do this. It was good last week and brought something so that the stuff didn't shine through, and this week I didn't think about it. So just Thanksgiving and the two turkeys. I think when I showed it to you last week, I just had a few letters left to do, and then that second turkey. But I think I'm going to go in with like an olivey green and just go over the stem and the vines just to make it stand out a little bit more. I'm going to leave that. I may have talked about this last week too. But yeah, so finish number 1. And then finish number 2, and this was my start and finish. I showed this last week as a plan for this month. I joined the magazine monthly challenge group on Facebook, and I had decided for each letter of the acrostic I was going to stitch a small. This is Witchy Cat by the Stitcher Hood, so this was my S, and the word was ghost. And so, start and finish. I do have, well, my count was off. There should only be two squares between the tail and the frame there. So I'm not sure what happened. So this little angle here is a little bit off, but I think it's okay. It adds that, you know, when they talk about like horror movies and they add these like purposeful disjointedness just to make the viewer uncomfortable. So I'm just going to look at it as that. It's kind of a little bit of a disjointed spot on that frame. And there's kind of other, I mean, the sawtooth frame on this, I love it, by the way, is just, it's not even. And there's like just one spot, I think, where you don't go down to 2 stitches. And everywhere else it does. So I think it works. I'm happy with it. So yeah, Witchy Cat by the Stitcher Hood. And this is just on a scrap piece of, I think it's 16 count Ada that I had laying around. Last week I talked about, I did not remember what I had used for the S in Alphabet Soup, and that I thought maybe I had not brought something. I worked on this again, so this is a current whip, but it's also one that I just totally forgot to show last time. It is Saguaro National Park by Awesome Pattern Studio. So this was my S for Alphabet Soup, and I'll show you some progress. I need to keep this piece of paper here. Oops. So I have, let's see, I have worked myself down the side. That's not going to be, oh goodness me. Okay, so I've worked myself way down the side on this side, and then I've done a little bit of stitching over here, but most of my work that since the last time you saw it was over in this area. And obviously right there is going to be about the halfway point. So I'll have plenty of fabric. This is on a 16 count, like oatmeal, I believe. Just a craft store Ada. Okay, next, this was a new start also for the magazine monthly challenge. This is my month-long project, and then I have, this is for the theme, which was spooky, I believe. And then the acrostic, I'm using the small, so this is a little bit bigger. This is Happy Halloween. No, it's called Halloween Hanging. And it is by, let me make sure I give it to the right person. Oh my gosh, Historical Sampler Company. So there it is. This was a new start earlier this week. I'm also using any of the stitches that I can for the Halloween Town event at Semi-Sane Stitchers, which has been a blast. I'm enjoying that. So let me show you where I'm at on this. So I got the Trick or Treat stitched. Oh, and then that middle square. So there's 2 squares to either side, and then it says Happy Halloween, and then the border. So if I get about that much done every week, that's going to be close to a finish, but I think I need to step it up a little bit if I'm going to actually have a finish. Next, this was my tea for alphabet soup in Semi-Sane Stitchers. This is Giggly Wiggly's Penguins by the Trilogy. And well, that is where I'm at now. If you remember when I showed it to you last time, all I had was just that little black on that first penguin's back. So I stitched 4 full penguins and a half a penguin, and I still have to do the eyes. The eyes are all French knots, other than for these larger penguins where the eyes are quarter stitches. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's gonna be so cute. And then I've already in my cart have the reindeer one, so I'll have plenty of room to stitch the reindeer one on the other side of the same fabric, so they'll match. So that'll be hopefully a soonish purchase. Next, I have the Stitch On Me Halloween Sal, which I didn't even start until it was like 4 days in. Oh, this is on whatever the called for linen is. It's a 32 count. I think it's just natural linen. Not sure, but it's what the called for is. And I'm stitching with the DMC alternatives. Okay, so this is the Stitch On Me Sal. This is the frame. Each one of these are going to be a box with a different image in it. I don't really have any sort of like picture or anything I can share, but I'm being optimistic and put the 2020 in already. So yeah, this week I'll start on filling in some of these boxes, and it goes down. There's 31 boxes. There's 1 pattern for each day, but as you can tell, they're pretty small. This is on a 16 count pewter Ada, and so far it's just 310 in it. But I'm going to be using the called for flosses unless something just doesn't show up, which is a possibility. There are some grays. I may change it or I may just leave it. We'll see. Haven't made up my mind on that yet. Next, these are in no order on how I stitch them. This is just what I've worked on this week. I know this was probably one of the first ones that I worked on. Dragon by Valenti Cross Stitch. This is one of my Christmas presents. This one is for my brother. And got a little bit done over in here. So I still love this. I need to make some good progress on it. And my goal for this year was to have this page finished, so I'm pretty close. I should still be able to do that. And then next, Star Wars Dogfight. This one is also by Awesome Pattern Studio. This is my last whip, but I know it was one of the first ones that I worked on this week. But my last one to show you. So yeah, I did work on quite a bit of different things this past week. I worked down in here a little bit on this. I am off by a stitch somewhere, so I'm gonna have to try to figure out if I've made this frame wider or if I just miscounted something in here. So that's gonna be a little bit of a task that I need to do before I start stitching on this again. But yeah, this is for my adopted brother. He's not really, he just grew up with my brothers, and he does all of our family events with us, and he's family that's not family, but absolutely family. And in fact, even after he was grown, my mom tells a story about how he wrote up adoption papers so that she could adopt him. He had a great home life. It had nothing to do with his family or anything like that. He just liked our family too. So he spent a lot of time at our house playing D&D with my brothers, and him and his wife and their kids are as much, I think, my mom's kids as we are almost. So, and in fact, we have a family group on Facebook, and him and his wife are part of that. So, yeah. So he was part of him and his wife both were part of my Christmas presents that I gave out a couple of years ago. And, I've already finished his wife's. It was one of the wee little stitches ones, so it went fast. Okay. So, that was all my whips. Like I said, there was a lot. Now I have haul. So, I told you last week I had another order coming from cross-stitching supplies. It was a bunch of floss, which was just DMC, so I didn't bring that out to show you. It was tied up in numerical order again, like the last time. So, that's pretty cool. And then I ordered some fabric. So, this first fabric is just a 32 count white Lugana. And I'll show you why I bought that. This is another magazine chart. This is going to be my U, because it's Ursula Michael. So it's going to be my U for the Alphabet Soup Challenge. I showed this last week, but I thought I'd show it again. See if I can do it without too much glare. So that's that one. I think it's really cute. So yeah, that's what I got the white Lugana for. It's just a fat 1/16. So pretty tiny piece, but it should be plenty big for that. I got, and these I didn't really have any specific plans for. I just got them because I wanted to, just to have a little bit of fabric in my stash. So I got Mushroom Lugana, 28 count. I do really love that she labels each one. I got an 18 count Vintage Country Mocha. Let me see. That is shining through a little bit, but you can see there's a little bit of modeling on it. Last week I showed that I got a doubloon, so I kind of wanted to just compare. I mean, obviously this is going to be a little bit more muted than the Picture This Plus. And then I just got a Cream Lugana in 28 count. These are all small cuts. But it'll give me some stuff to... Oh, this is a 25 count. I think I said 28 count. It's 25 count. Give me some fun things to stitch on. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, this is something I bought actually a few months back, but I forgot to bring it. I got some twistables for things that I use working copies on. I do, for almost everything, use Pattern Keeper on my tablet, but I bought like the crazy art ones last year, and they just keep breaking, so I finally splurged and invested in the Crayola twistable colored pencils just for some paper charts, so hopefully those do better. And then I went to, my husband wanted to go to St. Louis last weekend, so we made kind of an impromptu trip to IKEA. He got a 3D printer, so he wanted to get some lac tables because he's seen some cabinets built for 3D printers from lac tables. So we had decided that we were going to go to St. Louis, mainly for that. So woke up Friday morning. He took Friday off, and I woke up and we were getting ready to go, and I was like, maybe, and I just hadn't really thought about it or whatever, but there is it's a quilting shop that has cross stitch, and there's quite a bit of cross stitch there. I really wasn't sure what to expect, but it is called Fabric Creations. It's in Cadet, Missouri, which is about an hour and a half away from me. So it's actually, I've said that the closest cross stitch store was 2 hours away. This one's actually slightly closer than that. It's about 15-20 minutes off the highway, but from there we can take a different way into St. Louis, so it's not super out of the way. It may not be in every stop when we go to St. Louis, but it's definitely it was worth the extra time to to leave the beaten path, I guess, so to speak. So yeah, this was Fabric Creations in Cadet, Missouri. She does have a webpage and a Facebook page. So went there, and I will start with what my husband bought. And we've talked about this. My husband cross stitches sometimes. He's not like an even every year kind of stitcher, but occasionally he'll see something and he'll want to stitch it. I still haven't shown y'all the biggest one. It needs to be washed, and I've been, I don't know, a little trepidatious about putting it in the water, even though it's DMC and like just a linen, or yeah, I think it was a linen. I just haven't done it yet. I don't know. And it needs washed real bad. So my cat got into this one of the cats, so it's a little chewed up atop. But they had a model stitch of this. So it's the Prairie Schooler Christmas Village, and he decided he wanted to stitch that. So he bought fabric to go with it. He bought an 18 count. I think it's Storm Clouds by Zweigart. And we went ahead and got a fat half of it because, yeah, Stormy Clouds. I got a fat half of it because I figured I could take, I mean, a fat quarter is going to be plenty for what he needs it for. But I figure I could do a Halloween piece or a landscape or something like that on the other side. She this started out as a full yard, and she just asked me what size I wanted to cut down to. So yeah, so that is what he's going to stitch this on. It calls for a gray, so I think this will work fine. And it'll give a little bit of a background. It was stitched on a there were color conversions and all kinds of stuff on the one that was a model stitch. So that is what he picked, and then I get a little bit of bonus fabric from that. And then I had never seen this one before. It is a Heart and Hand, Birds of a Feather, and they also had a model stitch of that. I won't be doing the buttons. There are like a few buttons, like here. I think there's 3 total. There's one, and I think that's one. See if I can get that to focus. There we go. So I thought that was pretty cute, so I decided to go ahead and buy that. And then, okay, let me take this one out. This is Scarlet House Sweet Tomato. If you remember back when we were talking about market, I was like, this was the one chart that I absolutely knew I wanted to buy from market this year. And she happened to have it in stock, so I happened to buy it. Oh, let me put this off to the side so I don't wreck it. And then I got a piece of 36 count linen by Fabrics by Stephanie, I believe. Yes. And it's a weird odd cut, but I think there's enough here to do we measured it and did the calculations and stuff. There's enough here to do the Birds of a Feather on that. And then I think there's enough here to do the Scarlet House piece, the Sweet Tomato piece. I did not measure it totally. And then there's definitely enough here for like a small ornament. So she gave me, because it's such a weird odd cut, she gave me a little bit of a deal on it. So excited to see if that's gonna all fit. And then, like I said, this was like a bit of a splurge for me. I don't typically go in and spend. In fact, I kind of thought I was gonna spend, when I went in, about half the amount that I did. And then the next thing I got, this is Serafina by Seraphim Fabrics. This is a 32 count. I got a fat quarter. I just bought the whole piece because it's so pretty. Okay, yeah, I really wish I had thought to, but just so you can kind of see a little bit of the coloration in there. And that's all pretty. And I got this specifically for, I've shown this before, but Lindy Stitches Peacock Keeper. I am not going to take this out of the package. Sorry, I have done that before. But this calls for Picture This plus Jazz, and I thought this would be a good match for it. And then I bought some of the flosses for it. These were the ones that I knew for sure I wanted to use the overdyed. So it is Mediterranean Sea by Gentle Art. Presidential Blue, also by Gentle Art. I feel like I'm just putting it on top of my head. And then this is Pansy Purple by Classic Colorworks. And I am going to do the rest in either there's some called for DMCs, but then I think that the rest of them I'm going to do in just the DMC conversions that she has listed. And then my husband picked out, like I said, it's a quilt shop as well, so he picked out this fabric that he wants me to make him a floss book like I showed last week with. So I need to set up my sewing machine and do some for myself anyway, so that'll be perfect to do at that point. And then I bought a pair of scissors. These are Karen K. Buckley's Perfect Scissors. I really like that they have a super fine, sharp tip on them. I've pretty much only used like the DMC scissors or equivalent. So I don't love them. So I thought I would try these. She had a pair just hanging on the wall so I could kind of, you know, see the full movement and feel how it actually felt. And then obviously it has this nice cover there, so you don't have to like worry about it poking through things. And then because I spent enough money there, she gave me a choice of, she had some counting pins, she had these little tiny scissors, and she had like a magnet box for like a needle box. So I picked these because I thought I could just keep these in the car, because how often have we gone somewhere with a project and then realized that we left our scissors at home? So it's just little tiny sharp little scissors that are called super snips, and I've never used these, so I have seen them before, but I've never actually tried them. So that was the stuff I picked up there. I did take some pictures of the shop and of Phyllis, the owner. She was an incredibly nice, friendly lady, and so I asked her if it was okay if I took some pictures and put them in my next floss tube. So I will insert that here. This is Phyllis. She is the owner and very friendly. You can tell she's smiling under her mask. This is the cross stitch room. There's some quilting stuff in here too, but this is a good chunk of the fabric that she has. Lots of good colors there. Here is more special items. There's some like Mill Hill perforated paper, thread keeps, Mill Hill kits, and then more specialty items up here like some pre-printed fabric, some horn books. Lots of display models in such a small space. I really appreciated that. You can see there's the Prairie Schooler that my husband picked out. There's some of the charts over there to the left. A wall of floss. That's always fun. This is the Gentle Art and Weeks Dye Works. Sorry. There's the patterns that I was talking about. You can kind of see that corner, the patterns are on the left, the floss is on the right, and then there's a bunch of display pieces there that you can see. And she does have a separate bin where you can find the charts. A little bit more fabric there at the top of that bin. A lot of the small patterns are stored in that spinner rack, and then the Classic Colorworks flosses are on that other spinner rack. And quilting fabrics. Another bookshelf with a lot of little display items. She has some super cute stuff in here. I really liked this stitched piece here. I did not think to see what it is. I feel like I've seen it before, but I can't remember the name of it. And then obviously there's a lot of, I'm assuming it's Plum Street. It looks Plum Street-ish to me, and it's beside the Plum Street charts. And then this is in the front room. So she has some of her cross-stitch items when you first enter the shop. And so there's a spinner rack here that has a few things. And then like the scissors and stuff like that are also in the main room. And then a little display case that she has set up. I thought there was some real cute stuff in here too. There's just like little treasures everywhere you look. It was pretty fun. Okay, and then the last thing I have to share with you today is a game. I have a game this week. This is called Knitwit. This is by Matt Leacock, which if you're familiar with Pandemic, it's the same person who did Pandemic. Designed Pandemic. He did Forbidden Island. He has another game that I really like that I will share with y'all at a later date. This is just a sleeve that fits onto the box. It's, see if I can figure out how to open it. I knew it was a magnet closure. So when you open the box, it looks like this. It's really nicely organized. The little rules of play card just looks like almost like a pattern of some sort. And then the way it works, this is a word game, and you have, I'll show you some of the ones we've played already. You have these little tags that clip onto one of these spools or one of these ties. So you would clip that on and you would have a word that is associated with that color. So if I did this, I would have the word hard with the purple, the word bright with red, the word secret with yellow, and everybody starts off with either one or two spools. I don't think that you ever end up with more than two spools. I'm not sure. I've only played this 3-player. I think this would be much more fun with more players. To be honest, I did not have the greatest time with this game, but my husband really likes it, and I thought that it might appeal to some of y'all. So I thought I would go ahead and share it. I just had a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around everything. So, but you start off, the first player will take a spool, and then basically that spool will go inside. Like this will be laying on a table. It's really hard for me to show, but that would be laying on the table, and then this would sit somewhere inside this yellow cord. And then the next spool, person to play a spool, would play the spool down, and it has to be, has to play their cord down. So it would go over that same spool. It has to at least cover one spool that's already out on the table. And then they would take their spool and put it anywhere they want to within one or two of those colors. So as you get further along, these kind of cables cover a bunch of the different, or the spools will have multiple words. That's what I'm trying to say. And then you have a score sheet, which I did not realize it was going to be that hard. I'm going to actually show you. There's the way they look here is they're black with white, and then you have white pencils, but they also put in one that you can photocopy that is white with black. And then, so each of the spools have a number, and you play with a different amount of spools depending on which, how many players you have. So, and the rules, here we go. Place a loop around one spool. Place a word onto the new loop. Place a spool. That's the order that you do things. And then each spool will have one or more of these loops on it with words attached. And so if, say, one had the yellow and the red colors around it, then you would have to come up with a word or phrase, I believe, that would fit both of these terms. So bright and secret. So you would come up with a word for bright and secret. And of course, nothing's coming to my mind right now, which is why I am not the greatest at this game. Let me see what my other one was. So hard and bright could be like a light bulb. But it plays a little bit like categories, that if you pick the same word that somebody else does, then it's not going to count for any points. And when you finish, the first person who finishes filling out for all of the spools gets a button. And these buttons have points on them. So the faster you finish, the more points. These are also points. So you get 1 point. When you score, you get 1 point for each of the strings that were around it. So that one that I showed you, the bright and hard being a light bulb, if nobody else said that, you would get 2 points for it because it had 2 words attached to it, 2 strings attached to it. So the first person to do all of theirs will get a button. And when we play, because it's only 3 players, we just play with the 2 point and 1 point button. So the first person, I think that's how it works. The first person to do it would get 2 points. The second person would get 1 point. And then anybody else, after all of the buttons are gone, will no longer be able to write. And that's how you tell the end of the round. So your timer is the other players. And then you just score it up after you're finished. You go through, you compare words, and then you put a score based on how many loops there were around the spools that you did get the words for, and then your bonus points for your buttons, and then you total it up. It plays quick. I think our games are all about 10 minutes. I mean, it's always going to be based on how fast the people are. If it were a bunch of me's, it might take a half hour because I had a real hard time with it. But I think I want to try it with a larger group. And like I said, I think it's got a lot of potential. When I first learned about this game, I was really, really excited about it. And it's kind of funny because my husband was like, I don't like word games. It's just not his favorite genre. And then he played it before I did. And he's like, yeah, we should look at it. And then it was on a pretty good discount at a game store that we go to. So we decided to, I think I picked it up for like $10. So, and I have seen it even cheaper than that, which is another reason I wanted to share it. But yeah, it's a pretty simple game to teach and learn. It plays really quickly. And if you like word games, it's worth checking out, I think. So that was the game that I had to share for today. Knitwit. Oh, and I'll show you. So it comes with these 6 pencils as well. So 8 pencils, because I think it plays up to 8. I should tell you that. Let me see if it's in the rules. So yes, it plays 2 to 8 players. I don't think I'd want to try it with 2 players. I think even 3 was probably not enough. But, you know, that's what we got to play with right now, is the people that live in your house. So, yeah, okay. I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully I'll be back soon again with another one, and I hope to see you then. Have a great day. Have a good weekend coming up, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.